Whether you're a salesperson or a marketer, we all know how difficult it can be to target enterprise clients. They're like an impenetrable force with gatekeepers who are literally paid to stop you from selling and marketing to them. So in this video, I want to talk you through some creative LinkedIn ABM ads that you can run in order to break through the noise with something that I like to call the pull strategy. And to take this one step further, I'm actually going to be running through a real life example of how a company called Okta, who are a B2B SaaS company focusing on two-factor authentication, could target the likes of an enterprise level account such as Coinbase, and what I would personally do if I was part of their marketing team looking to engage and get on board this account. So let's jump straight into it. Actually, one sec, before we go any further, I think it's important to determine the difference between what I mean by a pull strategy and how that's different to a push strategy. And in my mind, in modern marketing, the way I like to see the two is push marketing is very much where you have a message and you're pushing it out to your ideal customer persona or your target audience market. And that in essence is what most marketing is today, is push marketing. You're pushing that message out. With pull marketing, that's, in other words, pretty much a fancy name for internal company word of mouth or dark social. So how can you get people within your target accounts like Coinbase to refer your product to the ideal customer persona who would buy the product? It may sound quite confusing, but let's see if we can lay this out with a real world example of how Okta could use this strategy. With Okta's offering, or with any company's offering, how does it alleviate the pain points of your customer? And because Okta offers single sign-on or two-factor authentication for web apps, how could they make Coinbase's onboarding process easier and alleviate some of the bottlenecks they may have today? But first and foremost, how do we know what bottlenecks Coinbase may have? So say, for example, we go over to Coinbase App Store and we look on the Google store for Coinbase, and we go through and let's just click on all of the reviews here. For a quick search, let's just type in 2FA, which stands for two-factor authentication, and we can see this comment here from July 4th, 2023, so quite recently. Crypto and the 2FA won't ever work. Okay. That's a very specific term. Obviously, it doesn't work. Let's go to something a bit broader like sign in. So cancelling sign in. Okay, so that's not good if it's cancelling sign in. Regular sign in issues also won't sign in if you connect it to a VPN. Lots of really rich data here. Sign in compared to Binance and other exchanges. Just top level. Obviously, we can start picking out issues and really good start to understanding some of the issues they may be having with their current sign-on process or company they're working with. In an ideal world, what would be great here is if we could scrape all of these reviews and create something called a sentiment analysis, which ultimately goes through and looks at how negatively or positively people are talking about the product. And then within that, we can look at word clouds and ultimate phrases of certain areas of the product which could be improved upon or ones that are doing really well within the product. Now, if we went through this and say, for example, spend a couple of £100 on the scrape and then a couple of £100 more on a data analyst going through and creating that causation with the sentiment analysis, we could then create this really nice page on the Okta website, which was okta.com/Coinbase. So we could have the data within that page and it could tell a nice story about ultimately how people find the app. And the story here isn't just pushing messages to them saying, you know what, you should buy our product because it does X, Y, and Z. It's we've gone in, we've looked at some of the sentiment, and we've seen that the biggest issues you guys are having, not only with security, but user experience potentially, is going to be through your sign-in process or your two-factor process. If you came to Okta, then we actually mitigate that by offering XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. We work with other enterprise companies potentially in a very similar space, such as Binance, just making these up, other crypto exchanges or other online exchanges with as many people that you guys have. So you have the social proof there and you have the immediate fix to that problem. Now, whether you just take these reviews or create ads around, say, a sentiment analysis, what you could do, maybe even take screenshots and then whack it into a rough carousel in here. What we could do, I don't know, this is very much a wireframe around how it could look, and then we could get arrows pointing to the sign-in process and ultimately pull apart some things which we think we could help them improve on. And the purpose of these ads is to really cut through the noise and to make other people in the organization, not only the person like the chief financial officer or the chief information officer who may be the target for this ad, we can target the whole C-suite to say, you guys currently have people saying this is how we want to correct it. Potentially we could even do it at a better price or a free sort of migration plan for you guys. So next step, once I've created this asset and obviously send it to a designer, because at the moment this is just a carousel with a very bad design, they can do something creative with it. And then you can go over to your LinkedIn ads, for example. And if you set up a campaign and just targeted the United States and the United Kingdom, and you targeted current jobs Coinbase, if you see over the right hand side, we currently have function. Most people are in finance, engineering. These are going to be the key guys we go after. So 21% of this audience are going to be the engineering team. But ultimately, if we can just target it across just the senior, director and manager level and partner level, remove this 33% entry so we're not wasted, we're probably looking at around 8,000 to 9,000 people that we can target across the managerial, director and partner level. And if we can get this messaging in front of all of them, with the objective of these people mainly being to tag people in that IT team or the relevant people within that, it's much more likely that they're going to be incentivized to get in contact and potentially sit on a demo or sit on some sort of trial that you can offer them. Because the beauty of having all the influencers within your company bought into it as well as you is, one, the sign-off process is much easier, and two, if someone says to you internally, oh, have you seen this or have you checked this out, it's much more likely that you're going to do it because someone's put it on your radar internally. And if you think about this process of using this pull strategy, it's actually what we're doing with this video. This video here is a direct marketing concept which is being sent to Okta. We can then amplify this video to every senior management person within Okta, which means hopefully someone's going to tag the person in charge of the marketing budget. That person may think this is a good idea, they may not, and then they may get in contact. But for me, the objectives of this type of video wouldn't actually be direct response leads. One, we want to see how much engagement it gets and if any people internally are being tagged, because then we know the merit of the content is good. Secondly, we want to be looking at any leads. Say if we scale this up and do it for a lot of B2B companies that are targets of ours, we want to make sure that we're looking at not only the direct response leads, but we're also keeping an eye on all the companies we've done this for, and then looking at if those companies come through and into our pipeline at any point in time, because chances are this has nudged someone along that journey. It hasn't just been they've seen us through, organic Google search, for example. So I hope you found that interesting. Any questions, as always, whack them in the comments. And if you do happen to know the marketing director of Okta, tell them to get in contact. I'll put my LinkedIn below. Anyway, until next time, guys, have a great week.